Hey guys, welcome to my week 5 check-in of the challenge that I've given myself. I've invited anyone who wants to join with me. But this challenge, just to kind of recap, is uh, an in-season challenge during the WNBA season to see if I can gain 4 to 5 pounds of lean body mass while also reducing my body fat. Um, it's a challenge because kind of that's sort of a challenge any day of the week, I guess, or any time of the year. But during the season, we are traveling a lot, losing sleep sometimes, and often just kind of don't know what the schedule is in new cities, all kinds of things. So it's basically like a high stress time for me for sure. So, but I think I can do it, and that's sort of what the challenge of it is. So this is my 5th week that I'm checking in on. um, Things have been going pretty well, I think, but we'll sort of check in on what the actual numbers say. Things that have been going on for us and for me personally this week. The kids just got out of school, so that's pretty cool. We're trying to hang out a little bit and figure out what they're going to be doing on their day to day. And then we had Father's Day this week as well, so I'll share a little bit about what we did there. And mostly, I want to kind of check in and share some of the ways, like more specifically, that I'm tracking my food, because it's tracking, but it's also kind of like not tracking, in how I'm doing a lot of estimation. So I just want to share that. I took a picture of something I ate that I got at a restaurant, and I'm gonna go over how I actually accounted for those calories. And then last thing that I'll touch on, is week 5 brought a new training wave as well. So finish the first 4 weeks. I like to do a new training block on that 5th week. So let's take a look. Okay, we are back at my favorite place to be, which is in a spreadsheet. I'm joking, but not joking. Okay, let me move this out of the way. Okay, so here's week 5, the week that I'm checking in on. And you can see this week we did not have very many games. We only had 2, which was a welcome relief, I would say, for all of us. And only one short trip to Indiana during that time. And my weeks on here are running Friday through Thursday, so Friday's the first day. We can see weight check-in, waist. We'll see on the progress tab what that actually means from week to week. Taking a look at my calories overall, pretty steady throughout the week. So that's looking good. I'm definitely, a little under on most days, but the two things, actually, this is important that I wanted to mention. I add like creams to my coffee sometimes. Actually, a lot of times, every morning at home, I always add something to my coffee that has calories. I drink, like my pre-workout has like 10 calories in it per can. There's a number of those things that I consume through the day that I don't actually sort of like account for right now. And so I actually try to remind myself that when I am getting some of these 1600 calorie days, 1650 or so, or even the 1750, I can probably add on top of that like another 50 to 100 calories of things that I haven't tracked. And those things do add up. They really do. Like if I chewed gum all the time, each, even sugar-free gum has like, I don't know, 5 calories in it or something. Those things are real, and they are things that you have to be mindful of, if there's things that you're consuming throughout every day and maybe you're not seeing the progress that you want. It's always good to just remember about those things that are really, really low calories. But like I said, for me, I'm getting sources of like 10, 15, 30 calories throughout the day. So just something that, like, for me, as I'm talking right now, I need to keep in mind. So anyhow, And then I think on this higher calorie day, that was right before Father's Day. I don't know if maybe we went out to dinner or something. But went over quite a bit on my carb and fat targets for the day. And also you can see had a fair bit of sodium, but not as high as that day. I think that day in Indiana I had sushi for dinner. So anyhow, then we can take a look in, here's the resistance training section and then my cardio section as well. All the sleep and sort of subjective scores for myself are over here. Did a pretty good job of like at least tracking my sleep, well, because my watch does it. And decent job with these other scores through the week. I think biggest thing that's interesting to me is like my hunger levels still have been really low, and energy pretty high. So that's like really encouraging. It sort of just tells me that my calories haven't been dropped too low. So that's really positive. Now, something that I wanted to highlight and talk about here. We played this game in Indiana on Wednesday and flew back that night. And it's a short flight, but it's still, I was probably in bed by 1:30 or so. And ended up being that I only got 5 hours of sleep and only 3/4 of an hour of deep sleep, which is, neither of those are great for me or anybody. And the thing I wanted to talk about here is how this impacted my training that morning. My day was such that I pretty much needed to get up at about the same time that I always do to start my day. I had a very early meeting that I had to get to, and then I needed to get my training in before I had to head into the gym for my work day. Because after that, I was, wanting to spend time with the kids because I hadn't seen them in a couple days. So I just needed to get my training done in the morning. So this particular day is my deadlift day. And, you can see I highlighted here, like the load that I used through the whole lift. So this is all like compound movements. There's no machines here. This is by far the hardest day that I do, even though you can see that the volume in pounds is like, a little over a third, I guess, of some of these other days. So week 4 on this session, I'd kind of cranked it up a little bit from week 3, which was super encouraging. I just had a great like deadlift session. It was really encouraging because before that I'd had a couple like rough weeks. But this week, lo and behold, it just seems like this particular training day always falls on a really rough day for me. I just had a heck of a time. It was really, really hard. I pretty much never score anything as a 10, but I did this particular day. So here what I'm showing you is just a snapshot of some of my training days. So you've got the RPE, which is how I perceived my exertion to be that day. And then the kind of purplish lines are the total load that I used. So you can see like for at least this period of time, which was, I guess it was 7 or 8 days. This was the lowest in total volume for these more compound lift days. But my RPE was a 10. Like, I mean, I just barely made it. It was so hard. And on the deadlifts, as a good example, I think the week before for my first set, I did like 14 or 15 reps at 185 pounds. And then on this particular day, when I didn't have very much sleep and I hadn't even eaten for the day, I think all I'd had was coffee. My deadlift volume was down like, I think it was down like 60%. I did basically a third of what I did the week prior. And so, I just want to share my thoughts on that because for me on that day, my training's really important as it aligns with my goals of gaining lean mass. So I wanted to get it done. I'm trying to not lift on the weekends, especially when I'm at home, so that I can spend time with the family and just kind of do stuff with them. So it was important that I got it done that day. Again, like I said, I had things through the day, and once again, like wanted to kind of finish the afternoon spending time with my family. So it just, for all of those reasons, I felt like I needed to get it done that morning under those circumstances. And I actually ended up dropping the weight down on the third set because I honestly, like, I couldn't get sort of the minimum number of reps that I think is worthwhile for what I'm trying to do. So I dropped the weight down, and just did the best that I could. But at the end of it all, I think it's still worthwhile. It was still worthwhile for me, even though it wasn't ideal. I definitely did my best. I definitely, if I rated it a 10 out of 10, I was working pretty hard. And so I trust that my body's going to get some growth out of that. But certainly not, how you want to approach any training sessions, quite frankly. Okay, so let's see. Let's check out the progress area for week 5. Here we are. And we'll see kind of how things actually went. So here we've got my average weekly average weight, so 158.2. And if we look back on the past couple weeks since I actually started weighing myself, 161.1, 159.2, 158.2. So we've just got a really good steady rate of weight loss there. Targeting, I would be okay if it was like about 0.6 pounds a week, but it's a little bit quicker than that right now, so that's fine. I think it's going to probably slow down really soon. So anyhow, you can see lost exactly 1 pound since last week, and this total change number is not correct because I guess it's like 2.9 pounds. And then on the waist, and I think I've said this before, but both weight and waist can fluctuate some, probably weight more than waist. So it's another layer of check to just see how's my progress going. Because if you sort of plateau on weight loss, you may still be getting fat loss changes, and those would be likely to show up in your waist. So tracking both of those right now, we can see where I started, 28.5. Next week 28, and then this week 27.75 about. So lost 1/4 of an inch. Again, happy with that, moving in the right direction. That to me signals actual fat loss that's occurring, so that's great. All right, there's all the calories. Let's see how my targets, my compliance was. Okay, so here we go. Calorie compliance, 97%. So I was a touch under. I think if I throw in those sort of extra, like low calorie things that I consume through the day, we're probably pretty close to 100% or a little bit over would be my guess. Protein compliance, 99%. That is like the non-negotiable for me. The protein is just the base of my diet. It's really important to get that in and make sure that I'm hitting that target. We've got average steps in here. My goal was 12,000 this week, and I got 13,000, so that's pretty cool. A lot of this stuff, when you try to implement like lifestyle changes, it can be tough. It takes a few weeks to kind of get going and get it actually worked into your lifestyle. And you can see for me, it's kind of like it's been a little bit tough to sort of crank it up like a little bit at a time since that week 1. But now I'm at a good area, I think, for those steps, and that's something that's realistic for me to do on a daily basis, is get around that 12,000 step range. So step compliance, I was over by 11%. That's cool. Looking at total weekly resistance tonnage, so this is another way to just track how your progress is going, and you can kind of correlate more volume to, in a very, very simplistic way, more volume in reps and load. So that kind of total, more volume should be a good indicator that there's muscle growth happening somewhere. and it's just a positive signal that you can look to along with the other things that I'm going to be looking at as I go through the next however many weeks. So we can see this week, and again, I changed my training plan. I added some more sets. So it's a pretty similar exercise selection, but I beefed up with extra sets some of the lower body work, because again, my big goal is to gain lean mass in my legs in particular. That's where I'm really hoping to see some of the lean mass growth. Not in my upper body. I always get in my upper body. So this was pretty successful just by sprinkling in like a handful of sets throughout the week. My volume went up from, and we're going to kind of ignore this because that was when I had to get in a ton of training sessions, but to compare it to week 4, I added, what is that, another 17,000 pounds of volume. So that's awesome. Really happy about that. Now, if we look over here, this is just like weekly active energy. Again, I'm just getting this from my watch, and I'm actually down a little bit from the week prior and about the same as week 3 there. So just my thoughts on this. I was a little surprised to see this, but for this week, in week 4, I think we were traveling more that week. I don't have it here. Pretty sure we were traveling. We were out of town. I think this was New York and Atlanta that week. And when we're traveling, I just end up doing a lot more walking. I kind of walk everywhere when I'm able to go out and explore, that sort of thing. So it makes a little bit of sense to me when I think about it that way. But we'll just continue to kind of monitor that into next week. Now, I think I said that I would share some progress pictures. I don't really have anything to compare it against, so this is just what I looked like at the end of one of my training sessions. Side shot there, great. You can see my arms are leaning out some, waist is leaning out some as well. So this will be the first pictures that we can compare against, or I can compare against over the coming weeks. This one I am pretty happy about. I can see, I think, some growth in my legs. I'm really happy about that, and I'm really hopeful. There's a little bit of a quad sweep there. Can see some quad here as well. So that's what I'm after. I'm really happy with that. And then to me, my upper body, just always kind of develops muscle pretty easily. So that's where we are right now. This is the same graph I showed in the other spreadsheet. And then the other thing I wanted to show is I've been eating a wide variety of foods through this process so far. This is like definitely the most variety I've ever had in like a serious kind of fat loss phase, I guess I would say. Or yeah, body recomposition perhaps. And so I'm trying to take some pictures of some of the stuff that I'm eating, but this is an example of a breakfast that I had from this little like Mexican spot that's here locally. And this was a breakfast burrito. It was so good, really good. And so I wanted to show how I tracked my breakfast that day. I had a cappuccino when I got to work. That's how I accounted for that. It's kind of a small one. And then this is something that I try to remember to put in, which is the sugar-free Italian sweet cream coffee creamer. Delicious. And I have some of that every morning at home. But for this actual meal here, it was shredded beef. There was some egg in there. There was some potato. I didn't have them put cheese in. And what I'm guessing is a 10-inch flour tortilla. I literally have no idea because I would have had to unwrap it to see. Now, these are all guesses. All guesses. I know they didn't put in 4 ounces of shredded beef. I'm thinking it's maybe 2 ounces, 2.5 probably, but whatever Samco is, it was definitely lean shredded beef. This seemed to me like a good fit of what I ate. Okay. And so the key here is like just being honest about what you think it is and, making a note of that. For the egg, I was generous. I said they put in one whole egg. I think it was probably less than that. But again, what I'm trying to do is not fool myself into thinking, oh, it was, some small amount when in fact, oh, there were 3 eggs in there and, 10 ounces of shredded beef. Like, I need to be honest about the amounts and what I think they are. Otherwise, you're kind of just fooling yourself. And that would be a reason why you might not make the progress that you want, or why I might not achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve. For the potatoes, there was really like hardly any in there, so I gave it 25 grams. And then I've found that those tortillas, like, it may be kind of a small burrito, but like there's a lot of tortilla in there. So I just went for the 10-inch flour tortilla because I knew that it wouldn't be more than that. So this is an example of right now, like how I'm tracking foods. And this is the exact like way that when I eat out, to account for the calories, how I kind of think about it. If there's dressing involved or whatever, I just pick the food that I think closest fits what I'm eating. It could be a little bit different, but again, just like if you're giving it sort of your best guess, that's going to be better than not trying to figure it out and sort of be mindful about what it may actually be in that content. Now, this is how I'm tracking things currently. This is the other thing I wanted to talk about. Just because I'm being so specific for this time frame, it's not how I would normally go about the way that I eat by any means. I'm not using spreadsheets during any other point in time ever like this, but I do, I am fully committed to these goals, and I want to share information that hopefully people will garner a little bit of insight from, and maybe it'll help you. But so there's a level of precision that I'm showing you guys in all of the spreadsheet and all the numbers and the measurements and this and that. But there's also a huge amount of like imprecision or educated guesswork that I'm doing as well. I have a pretty good sense of serving sizes and, how much meat equates to 4 ounces or 5 ounces or 3 ounces. Because I have been, sort of looking at food in that way for a really long time. So I am pretty good at it, but it's still not 100% accurate. I mean, even if I was weighing food, there would still be variance in what the actual calorie content is. And that's sort of another like point is, even food that comes straight out of the ground, you don't know exactly what the calories are. You know pretty close, but you never know exactly unless you like take it into a lab or something. So this is all like, it gives you sort of the impression of like really high precision, but I'm telling you, there's an enormous amount of just me making a lot of estimations, honestly. But trying to keep track of those estimations. And so, my point with that is like, there's a wide variety of how you can approach training goals and body composition change goals, be it just gaining lean mass, be it just, losing body fat, or some combination of both of those, like I'm trying to do. So anyhow, I'll wrap up on that. I could talk about this burrito all day long. Let's just take a look at the week ahead. All right, so we've got week 6 coming up. And during week 6, we have a back-to-back on the weekend. Saturday is my daughter's 14th birthday, so we'll be celebrating that. Should be a busy weekend here between the 2 games and her birthday. Then we have a nice little 3-day break, and we're at home the whole time. And then looking forward to playing Connecticut again at home at the end of the week. So this week should be pretty straightforward for me. Really just kind of planning my workouts as usual, and then we'll look ahead and head out to the West Coast in another week or so. So that's about it for this week 5 check-in. I think things are going good. I'm really excited to keep going and to just share that with you all. So the link to join the program will be down below. It's also in my profile on Instagram. If you want to join, go ahead and hop in, and please feel free to reach out with any questions.